Good morning. Welcome to Southeastern 16's SEC basketball recap. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell and Max Barr. 3 games to talk about from last night. We're going to go into some implications for tournament seeding. I think do a gut bracket on the way out. So our recaps of the games may be a little shorter than usual because, let's face it, it's that time of year where you're not looking at what happened last night. You're looking at what's ahead, and we're going to spend some time there. Anyway, here's what you had last night. You had Ole Miss beating Tennessee in a drama-filled last minute, 78-76. Big win for the Rebels there. You had Florida. Alex Condon was a one-man wrecking crew at times last night, going to Tuscaloosa, knocking off Alabama 99-94. And then you had Oklahoma protecting the home court with a very decisive win over Missouri 96-84. I feel like the Sooners led the whole way or are pretty close to it. Jeremiah Fears gets 31 points. As is customary, we start the show with the entry pass at the elbow to Max Barr to lead us off. Max, take us away. You didn't drag the pivot foot, did you? I can't see it. Just keeping you honest.
What are we running the Princeton offense from the 1980s now? We're going to the elbow?
Yes,
come on.
We are.
We need to be evolving here. The SEC has 5 of the top 6 offensive teams in the country. I don't see all of those teams running at the elbow to start things off. You know what I see?
Okay.
I see the ball getting out, and I see Max Barr sprinting down the court as fast as he can to get a shot up in the first 5 seconds is what I see.
Okay. Well, anyway, we throw the ball to Max Barr. It could be on the elbow, could be me driving and kicking out, but whatever the case, Max, the ball is in your hands. Don't travel,
Are you a point guard, Chris?
I am right now.
Were you a point guard back in the day?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
You can tell. Okay, so I'm going to start with not any thoughts on the games, but I screenshotted this. It's a quote from Chris Beard after the win at home against Tennessee. By the way, those pump fakes right there, that was Jaemyn Brakefield drawing another and one, by the way. He had 3 of them yesterday.
I thought you were working on your free throw form.
That's already at 99.9%. So here's quote from Chris Beard. We got opportunity week right here. The next game is a real opportunity too. Will it be easy? No. Will it be probable? No. I don't know. But would it be possible in March? Anything's possible in March.
I feel like I need to stand up and the Pledge of Allegiance. I feel like I'm just like, come on. I don't.
Anything's possible in March, baby. Let's go.
Tremendous quote. Like it's General Beard.
I feel like we need to. Well, never mind. Go ahead. Carry on.
I'm fired up. It was the night of hoops. It feels like March. It is March. We had what was the largest spread? 4.5 points. I think the largest spread was. Felt like it last night. What a game. I don't even know which game to start in because I loved all of them. And I think we honestly, with Ole Miss winning and Oklahoma winning in the 2 matchups that wasn't the top 7 game, I think that helped the SEC as a tournament perspective, getting Ole Miss a seed ahead, getting Oklahoma a little bit closer. It was a good night for the SEC.
Yeah, I'll start us off with the Gators because I think they're the best place to start. I think, like, with Florida, we said it. I mean, it was sort of a situation where you had seen them be inconsistent at times on the road, not necessarily meaning they were losing those games, but some of the games, as we mentioned, whether it was, the weird one against South Carolina, even the LSU one where they'd gotten down, a little bit in the second half, and, of course, the Georgia game. And so you're just like, all right, they're going in to play an Alabama team that certainly has been good at home this season, despite having a couple losses. We know what the Tide can do scoring the ball. And what do you know? I mean, I was joking with our guy, Big Baller Brett, yesterday. He took a shot at me, and I said, Big Baller Brett, you sit back and wait for your team to get scored 105 on
you called
by
that.
Florida. They were close. But here's the thing. I didn't just call that based off of a number. I called that based off of history. And the history speaks volumes right now. I put the tweet out last night. Florida, in its last 4 games against Alabama, dating back to last season, 93 points in an overtime loss, 105 points in a win, 102 points in a win, and then 99 points now in a win. Florida has just had Alabama's number in terms of these last 2 seasons when it comes to them playing. And remember, even that first game last year that they lost, that was one of those. Something happened in that game. Was there like a technical, an ejection? Something happened where someone got hit. I don't remember exactly what the thing was, but I don't remember what it was. But something happened. Someone in the comments can remind me. Big Gator EJ probably knows what I'm talking about. But, just for whatever reason, Florida is a team. And why on earth did I pick Alabama knowing that? Like, Florida has certainly been a team that has put themselves in a position to have a lot of success against Alabama, and I think that just shows you that with this Gators team, when you see what they have now, and this is what we keep talking about, Max, just the overall depth. We were worried initially about the rotation. Is it going to be affected? All this other stuff. Throw that nonsense out the window because they got so many guys that can contribute on this team. This 9-man rotation sitting here is one that is going to take them a long way in March. By the way, speaking of a long way in March, we are doing the gut bracket today. It's back, your usual Thursday gut bracket. We're going to look at the SEC tournament scenarios and all that, but at the end, gut bracket time. We're crowning another champion here at Southeastern 16.
I want to ask you
quickly. That's what happened.
That
was the flagrant. That's what happened last year. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what happened.
Yep, I remember that. There's a lot of great to elite teams in this league. But look, Florida's now gone to Tuscaloosa and won on senior night. It has won at Auburn. It just blew the doors off Tennessee on January 7th in that 73-43 demolition. We have also seen Auburn when Auburn is on. Remember that Ohio State game? Just Auburn when it's on. Both these teams are like a tornado that just destroys anything and everything in the path. But tell me first of all if you agree with this. Upside in the league, I think that the 2 teams with the biggest upside are Florida and Auburn. Am I wrong? Not that Tennessee and Alabama are bad, but I just think you go back and think about when these teams have just dominated and really been on. And I just named you 3 games for Florida that have been wins over potential 1 seeds. Not a lot of teams, probably nobody's done that. I'm just saying when it's really going well, to me, the discussion is Auburn and Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was funny last night where you see all the national media start to say the same message, like, okay, it's time to talk about Florida as a title contender. It's time to talk about
I saw
Florida.
that. It's like, wait a minute.
Where have you been for the past 2 months?
What do you mean? Now's the time. Just because they won at Alabama, now's the time. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, think about it, though. Florida's 3-1 against Auburn, Alabama, and Tennessee. They don't have the sheer volume of quad 1 numbers like Auburn does, but if you're just talking eye test and head-to-head, I think you can most certainly have the conversation of putting Florida at number 1 in your SEC power rankings. You most certainly can make that argument. Guys, I thought it was funny. Walter Clayton just loves playing the Tide. You can go all the way back to his freshman year at Iona in 2022. The first time Walter Clayton scored in double digits, it was his 6th game of his career on a neutral floor against Alabama, where he scored his first career double-digit game. And then last year, played them twice. He had, what did he have? He had 22 in one game, 23 in the other game. This year just has 22 again. Walter Clayton loves playing the Tide. He's never had a bad game. Pretty weird.
Yeah. He's probably hoping for an SEC tournament rematch, an NCAA tournament rematch. Like, give me the Tide in any sort of spot. But, yeah, I mean, look, Florida's in great shape for sure.
It's the bigs, too. It's is there any team out there? Here's a question. Is there any team out there where we could preview the matchup against Florida and you would say, okay, now we don't normally say this, but I think Florida's outmatched here in the front court. Is there a team out there in the nation? Because off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Max, I know it's a big man. It's a guards game now, but their front court is just so unbelievably good. And I mean, they got Clayton and Elijah Martin, who is about as good a backcourt punch as you can get. I mean, I think that we talked about how Alabama, I thought that the size underneath and the athleticism, maybe that didn't always show up in the shot block numbers or whatever. But, like, if they play a team that can't handle that, Alabama can be tough defensively despite some flaws just because of their bigs. Florida just last night just said, forget that. I mean, Condon was just a wrecking crew underneath. And I'm trying to think of teams because the NCAA tournament's about matchup. Like, you think about Michigan's bigs and, like, in any kind of weird scenario, because, like, you can be the number one seed in the NCAA tournament, but everybody's got a kryptonite somewhere. You know, and if you get matched up against those one or two teams that you can't handle, that's the end of your season despite how good you are. And Florida's starting to feel like it is about as matchup proof as anybody because of that dynamic. Is that fair?
Yeah, Walter Clayton's a first-team All-American. Florida Basketball Hour has been singing the praises for that, but I mean, he's not getting the national talk that he should. A quick quote from Nate Oates comparing this year's slide to last year's late season slide. Oates says, "I thought guys quit last year at times. I don't think that's the case here. We didn't have enough pop, but we still fought hard. I thought they continued to fight, and I would anticipate us being a lot better Saturday at Auburn. I don't think this group has any quit in them." So I don't know if that's just coach speak, but take that for what you will. Oates said that in the post game.
All right. If we're going to get a gut bracket out of me today, we're going to keep rolling on here.
Keep it moving.
I don't know if my voice is going to hang in there. All right. So, big win for the Gators. We'll see what happens with Alabama here moving forward. Tennessee and Ole Miss. Ole Miss gets a big win. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, this was kind of one, we said it, Max. I don't think there's any reason we should be shocked by this. This just felt like one where we've talked about these teams that have really found themselves in these tough situations, whether it's the bubble teams or a team like Ole Miss, who we had mentioned had not been playing that well, right? Even with some wins, it felt like they just were not playing their best basketball right now. And what happens? They come back in a game like this, get sort of that signature win. I feel like everyone this year is like that signature win, the one they've been chasing. Everyone now has sort of gotten it, it feels like, in a lot of these spots over the past couple weeks. And so, big win for Ole Miss. I think what it does for them seeding-wise is why I think it was important.
Yes.
I think it's going to wind up keeping them out of the 8-9 in the NCAA tournament, and I think that's a good thing for Ole Miss. You know, they're going to finish at Florida. There's going to be no shame in losing that game, even if they lose it. So, big win for them. I mean, you know, I kind of look at it from Tennessee's standpoint, and I think, to be honest, I didn't think Tennessee played bad at all. I just think that, you know, Ole Miss was the team that made more plays down the stretch and found a way to win those second chance opportunities. I don't remember what the final second chance point total was, but, you know, on the offensive rebounds, that seemed to be a difference in some of those spots.
You guys have read the Jaemyn Brakefield story, haven't you? About his use of NIL money to basically caretake a kid who needed it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I look it up. I started not to mention it because I thought it was kind of common knowledge. Google it, and then that guy on senior day has the night that he has. He scores 19 points in the final 13 minutes. In my opinion, one of the better and more heartwarming stories in college basketball this year. Look it up if you haven't.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I thought the difference in this game was, I think Ole Miss just kind of wanted it more, to be honest. Down at halftime, and then you come out and you are, you know, let it be known Ole Miss is last in the league in rebounding margin. You come out in the second half and you dominate rebounding in the second half, 24-13. that is not Ole Miss's an elite rebounding team that just got to Tennessee. That is Ole Miss who wanted it more and went and got it. When you're looking at those rebounding numbers, 11-2 on the offensive glass in the second half. And then points in the paint ended up 46 for Ole Miss, 20 for Tennessee. That was just a matter of Ole Miss was more physical. They wanted it more. They had the pop. You just heard Nate Oates in the postgame say, we didn't have the pop. Ole Miss had it last night. Brakefield, even Brown Jones, he only played 8 minutes. But if you were watching the 8 minutes, every time he was just chomping at the bit. He'd get a foul and he would be so ready to explode. There was a ton of energy with Ole Miss. Dre Davis, that's what they need him to do with the double-double. I thought this was more about Ole Miss than this was about Tennessee, guys.
Yeah, I don't knock Tennessee at all. Really coming out of this, I know Sam will, and I know others will. Yeah, I mean, it's a loss, right? Come on. But I didn't really think Tennessee played that bad here. I mean, they got, like you said, I think outplayed down the stretch. And sometimes, again, I go back to it. Like, how many teams we put in the same category? Georgia had to have a win here recently. They got it. Vanderbilt had to have wins. They got them. Oklahoma had to have a win. They got it. Texas had to have a win. They got it. Arkansas had to have a win. They got it. Like, all these teams just, like, you know, not just maybe the want, but the need. The need is taken over for some of these teams. And I think Ole Miss was not in a need from, like, we have to win this to make the tournament. But I think they needed it to feel better about their chances going into it. Because, like we said, had they have lost that game, I mean, they're not going to – it's going to be tough to win at Florida on Saturday. So if you lose that one, then you're talking about going into the SEC tournament, losing 5 of 6, probably dropping into the 8-9 game, something like that. So you can bet that was part of the motivation. Hey, come on. Like, we got to win this one. You know, we got to win one of these last two at least, and it's going to be hard to win the one on the road. So we got to win this one at home. So, yeah, I thought great answer from the Rebels there.
And did it without a great game from Sean Padula, who I think is one of the better point guards, if not players in the league. Speaking of must wins, I think Blake touched on it. Oklahoma, man, that was impressive last night against Missouri. Jeremiah Fears went off. And that was one of those things where I don't want to overstate it here, but like you're in a bad situation. You're in a must-win situation. Sam Godwin's having maybe the half of his life. 12 points in 11 minutes, comes out, ends up on the bench in street clothes and ice on his knee. And the Sooners, thanks to Fears, especially at the foul line where he's 12 of 12, do it anyway, putting Oklahoma in an interesting spot heading into the last weekend of the season and tournament play.
Man, Fears has just flipped a switch. I mean, this is almost ridiculous how much better he is playing right now than just a month ago. It's not even the same player. You watch it, it's not the same player. You look at the average of his stats, it's a completely different player. He's got double-digit points in 6 straight games. He hasn't had a negative assist to turnover game in 4 straight games after he had, I think, 6 straight with a negative. So he goes 6 straight games with a negative assist to turnover ratio, few games in single digits, then rattles off double-digit points in 6 in a row with a positive assist to turnover ratio in all of them. I've said it a few times. It's kind of cliche, but I've said as Fears goes, this team goes, and you're seeing Fears play the best basketball of his whole season. And what do you know? There's Oklahoma playing their best as well.
Well, we know who the real culprit was in this game. Southeastern 16 curse against Missouri is real. Yes, folks, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, Missouri fans. Max and I have already recorded the Kentucky prediction. You'll have to wait and see what decision I made in a game where I really couldn't win. Kentucky fans don't want me picking them. Missouri fans don't want me picking them. Did I pick Pat Adams and the referees? I don't know if Pat's going to be there, but you're questioning whether I picked them. We'll find out. So, yeah, we'll see. But, yeah, I mean, listen, that was a great win for Oklahoma. There's no question. We can certainly talk about the Missouri angle, and I feel like we just did, Max, 10 minutes ago. We were doing our preview, so I may say the same things I said then. But, yeah, I mean, it's just I think this Oklahoma team, like we said, it's the same situation as these others we talked about. Like, yes, I know what happened the first time around, but they were in desperation mode. Must win. They have to win these last 2 games. They win this one. Now they get a chance to go win at Texas on Saturday to make the NCAA tournament. And that's the position you want to be in, right? And so it wouldn't have mattered maybe if you lose this one at home, and knowing that you had a Missouri team that has not been defending as well lately, and there are some things you can pick apart, like you mentioned, sort of just with the play right now for Fears and knowing he can go off at any time. This was, if you're an Oklahoma fan, how could you be more pleased than this, just in terms of seeing your team back against the wall? Got to have it. And after losing 2 close games, too, keep that in mind. We wondered that. We talked about, like, how is Oklahoma going to respond? Sometimes those games can just break you. The way they lost the Kentucky game, the way they lost the Ole Miss game, but they respond well here and get a nice win.
A lot of comments about concerns about the Missouri defense. I think a lot of it's warranted. That's exactly what I was just going to say, Blake.
Yeah, I think should be concerned.
Mm-hmm. You look at Ant Robinson and how important he is for this team. Only 13 minutes and 4 fouls. He's actually, Ant Robinson in SEC play has not had a game with 0 or 1 fouls. He's had 3 games with 2. Every other game in SEC play for Ant Robinson, it's 3, 4, or 5 fouls. I love his aggression, and his steal rate is through the roof. I think he's got the 10th. He ranks 10th in the nation in steal rate. So phenomenal. But the trade-off with that is he picks up a lot of fouls. And, sometimes I think saving the foul might be more valuable than going for the steal.
I had my eyes on multiple games last night, that being one of them. But I look up, and they've got some guys in the ballgame at the first half at points where I wasn't expecting, like Boateng. And I get that they play, 10, 12, maybe 13 guys a lot of nights, and I get the foul trouble. But what was up with some of the substitutions last night? Was it foul trouble? Was it, hey, I'm just not happy with you guys are defending and want to send a message? What do we think with that, or am I making something of nothing?
Both Robinson and Tony were in foul trouble, so I think.
So you think it was just that? Okay,
I think so. Yeah, saw some extra guards come in, but I think also Dennis was pissed off. I mean, we're playing well.
Yeah. Well, and I guess the other problem is, I was going to say Perkins only had 21 minutes. He also had 4 fouls. So when you've got, I guess your primary 2 ball handlers have 8 fouls between them in 34 minutes. Good grief. Which is why T.O. Barrett got 3. And Barrett got 3 fouls in 7 minutes. My goodness. What was going on with point guards and fouling last night?
Couldn't stop fouling.
Yeah.
All right. Couple super chats here to catch up on. Big Gator EJ from earlier, $5 super chat, says Florida now 18-0 when our guy Denzel Aberdeen makes a 3, 8-4 when he doesn't. So if you're out there in the live betting market and you see Denzel Aberdeen make a 3 on the first possession, you better go all in at that point. All in. Please gamble responsibly. But we're just saying, Big Gator EJ's pointing up the stat here. That's could be it. So,
it's our guy.
One more cast here, $5 super chat. Should have bet the Bama money line to ensure the Florida W. See, now people are understanding. Like, this is what you have to do. You have to play this game. The emotional hedge, as we coin it here. Got to be all in on the emotional hedge, especially this time of year when it just means more in March. You got to really go for that emotional hedge. Mother Carol has given out 5 Southeastern 16 memberships. The giving continues from Mother Carol here. We appreciate that. Yeah, lots of memberships going to be given out probably this month. We have some to give out ourselves. And so, we're going to have some members-only stuff, obviously, with the tournament next week and all that. I know we haven't done the watch-alongs the past weekers, but, guys, Max is under the weather. You can tell. My voice is still, it's rough. We're just trying to get healthy, just like everybody. We're trying to get healthy before tournament time, okay? We're just like Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, Missouri, all these others. We're just trying to stay healthy, all right? So give us a little break. But we got your members content coming soon. And 5 more of you have jumped into the mix thanks to Mother Carol. Donnie T a number 1 seed in my eyes, guys. Donnie, an old friend, went to school together. We were talking about seeding yesterday.
There you go.
Max Barr is a number 1 seed. Donnie's a number 1 seed. What did we deem Chris was yesterday? An 8-9. Was he in the 8-9 matchup?
It was a pesky 8-9.
Because he was trying to be the person to knock off the 1 from the dream season, right? That's what we kind of thought was the. Chris, what do you think today? What seed are you feeling today?
I was taking that 8-9.
Okay.
Likes the 8-9 upset.
The ultimate underdog here.
Nothing to lose, a lot to gain.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Nice place to be. But Donnie mentions, a healthy Alex Condon is a problem. And the Gators in a good spot. No question about it. All right. I'm going to save Skylar's on the Kentucky 5 seed once we get to the bracket here shortly. I'm going to pull that up in just a second. But, Max, I know you just saw this one from Big Baller Brett. $2 super chat. Baller Brett going all in on the Tide here. Says, the team's soft is what Big Baller Brett says. That Mark Sears is his hero. So, there you have it. All right. Do you want to get into some fun stuff?
Fun.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, it's really fun. That's setting up an auction draft league at BRACKETBIDS. Because we've already done that. And if you're a member of the It Just Means More tier, we're going to find a way for some of you guys to join us in our auction draft league. We will get all that sorted out before Monday. Of course, you can also enter into a free pick'em contest there. You can also start your own draft league with friends, family, or coworkers. Everyone starts out with the same bidding dollars, but you have to outwit and outbid your league mates to secure the teams you think will go the distance. Choose from multiple scoring models, including the upset bonuses, reward the bowl picks. The league we're doing, you're going to get those upset bonuses to reward the bowl picks. So let it be noted that Mississippi State is already in the Final Four in Max Barr's bracket. You can track your teams with live in-game scoring. Watch the standing shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb the league standings. For league play, use that promo code SC16 for 40% off. SC16, 40% off. Download the BRACKETBIDS app today or visit them at bracketbids.com. Mississippi State
right.
Final Four.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's got to come to me.
Well, we'll find out. We're about to do a gut bracket in a few minutes. But before we get to the gut bracket, we got to get to something else. And that is the updated SEC tournament bracket. And yours truly put this out on Twitter last night. I appreciate all those who give it a nice boost, such as Bruce Pearl and others. Let's take a look at this and see what it looks like here in the bracket. All right. So here you have it as it stands right now. I did put, now look, there may be a scenario in there with a tiebreaker where some of these other seeds are locked in, but I am fairly certain no one is locked in except for Auburn and Florida as the 1-2 and LSU and South Carolina as the 15-16. Now, again, there are so many different tiebreaker scenarios that can play out with some of these others. But here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to address it one at a time because I think that's the easiest. So we're going to go down the bracket and we'll address it as we look at this whole scenario here, okay? All right, so again, we know Auburn's 1. We know Florida's 2. Their games are set. Then we get to Alabama and Tennessee. Pretty simple, right? If Alabama wins, they're the 3. Oh, it sets up. All right, I'm going to get a cough break in. So, Max, talk about what you want up here.
I'm looking at gut bracket opportunities for I'm getting ready. Not getting caught on my toes.
I'm back. This will happen multiple times. Okay. So Alabama wins. They're the 3 seed. Now, what's the scenario if Alabama loses and Tennessee wins? Well, we all know that, right? Tiebreaker goes to Tennessee. They would flip. So that's your start at the top. That's how your seeding would go right there. Now, where things get really exciting is if Tennessee were to lose to South Carolina on Saturday, and you get scenarios where A&M wins, Missouri wins, and Ole Miss wins. Then you got the dreaded, and I mean dreaded, 4-team tiebreaker. At that point, things get wild. And remember, when you get to the multi-team tiebreakers, okay, It's all about your record against the other teams you're in a tie with and then you break that until you get to however it sorts itself out, right? So if you get 2 out of that, it goes back to the head-to-head, all that kind of stuff. So we're not even going to get into all that right now because there's too many ways that this whole thing can play out with that scenario. So you see you got A&M, Missouri, Ole Miss all sitting there with the same record. If they all finish with the same record, who gets the tie? Well, A&M is 2-0 against those 3 teams or those other 2 teams. Missouri is 1-1. Ole Miss is 0-2. So that's how it would sort itself out right now, and that's why you see A&M there at the 5, Missouri at the 6, Ole Miss at the 7. So that's it there. Now, of course, where things get even more complicated is if Kentucky wins, and let's say that automatically puts Missouri at 8 losses, just like Kentucky would have if Ole Miss loses, if Texas A&M loses. Guess what, everyone? We've got another potential wild 4-way tie to break at that point. So, but for now, the Cats sit in that number 8 spot.
Wow.
I mean,
there's still so much at stake.
A whole lot at stake here. And the bracket's not really changed much at all over the past 2 weeks. Very little. But like it could change. You could have so many spots move now. You could have, 8+ spots move around now on Saturday after very little movement the past 2 weeks. So that's where it sits there. Mississippi State and Vanderbilt both at 8 and 9. If they finish with the same record, Mississippi State beat Vanderbilt. They hold the tiebreaker there. Again, that's where you get into different combinations. If Vanderbilt wins, Mississippi State loses, Kentucky wins, all that, or Kentucky loses, it gets nuts. Arkansas, Georgia, both at 7 and 10. Head-to-head, Arkansas, that's why they're the 11. Georgia's the 12. Texas and Oklahoma is an interesting one. So if Oklahoma beats Texas, they both finish at 6 and 12. Then where things get, so they're 1 and 1. They would split the season series, correct? Because Texas beat Oklahoma the first time around. Is that right, Max? Or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, they stole it.
Okay.
Manio basket, please.
Yep.
All right. So, no, wait. Texas and Oklahoma.
Texas beat Oklahoma January 15th.
Oh.
Yeah,
my
okay.
bad.
All right. So here's what happens in that scenario. So they obviously would hold tiebreaker 1 and 1, so they can't break the tie. Then it goes to your record against the top teams. Well, neither of them beat Auburn or Florida. Neither of them beat Alabama. But then where it gets interesting is, okay, where does A&M finish, right? Because Texas beat A&M. But A&M could tumble back down here to where then it's like, okay, well, who beat Missouri? Who beat So you see, this is why we haven't been able to solve any of these in the middle, because you're waiting for all these tiebreakers. So it's wild right now. But here's what's interesting. Look at the bracket as it sits right now. There are 2 games on Wednesday that are so fascinating, right? Georgia, Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and what those games could mean to maybe not all those teams, but at least half of those teams, and what that could mean for the NCAA tournament.
I feel like I just stepped off the tilt-a-whirl. No offense to Blake. This is why I don't try to figure these things out. It's just,
well, I'm just saying, informative.
Yeah.
So,
that wasn't a knock on you. I'm just saying it's complicated.
Hold on. Carter says here that he thinks Texas is locked into the 13 spot because they lost to Georgia, Arkansas twice. I'm confused.
Lost to Georgia once and Arkansas twice. Texas did lose to Arkansas twice, and it did lose to Georgia once. And, of course, it plays Oklahoma, so it's done with those teams.
Okay. You may be right, Carter, but the tiebreaker starts at the top. So I'm not – we'll figure that out. But, by the way, $10 super chat quickly from Optimistic Rattlesnake. Feeling pretty optimistic today. Love the Gators beat Texas A&M by 19. Then right after, Auburn lost to A&M. It's great to be a Florida Gator. So there you have it. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But anyways, there's your bracket as it sits now, folks. So
we have
plan your game times accordingly just yet.
Oh, don't at all. We have a changing of the guard here for the projected number of bids from Bart Torvik. It has gone from 12 bids being the projected result to 13 being the projected result. Right now, 13 with a 48% chance, 12 with a 41%. So it's looking more and more likely that we might actually get 13 instead of 12. A few of these results.
Texas would be the odd team out
so
right now.
Torvik has everyone has 100%, and then it goes Georgia with 99.6, Vanderbilt with 96.4. Those teams are pretty much locked in. And then the group of Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma, it goes Arkansas with a 75% chance, Texas with a 41, and Oklahoma with a 41% chance. So I think it has Arkansas in with one of Texas or Oklahoma getting in.
I have a question for you guys. If the bracket were to be the way that Blake just drew it up, with those two games that he pointed out, is that a good thing for the SEC or a bad thing in terms of getting more teams in the tournament?
That's a good thing.
In other words, would you rather
win.
What's that?
It's a good thing if the underdogs win.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's a good thing if Oklahoma beats Arkansas, and it's a good thing if Texas beats Georgia, because I don't think, in my opinion, I think Georgia's in, and I think Arkansas's in. So, but it depends on what happens on Saturday. Like, Arkansas loses by 30 at home to Mississippi State, then it gets a little iffy, right? So, but Georgia, I think, is in. I think at worst, Georgia would head to Dayton, but I think Georgia's in.
Yeah. And I'm with you. The team that got, and this is kind of interesting, the team that got sideswiped just a little bit maybe seems to be Vanderbilt. With all these teams winning, their chances fell maybe a couple of percentage points. And look, I don't think Vanderbilt's getting left out. But, you know, I played around on Bart Torvik, and, you know, under certain scenarios, they could be, you know, one of the last teams to get to avoid Dayton and that kind of thing. Whereas we were talking about them solidly 8-9 or maybe even 7.
Yeah, but I
think
which
felt like
yesterday.
A reach, but
yeah,
right.
That ship sailed on the 7. I don't think they were. Yeah, it would have been hard to get there, I think. So slide back to that 10. You're feeling a little bit better, in my opinion.
Well, and the thing that I think we were discounting is there's kind of an assumption, and maybe the conditions changed this year. Maybe it's like the committee needs a way to separate. I mean, we've been assuming based on the last 3 or 4 years, they're just not going to consider conference tournament results. And we just don't know. I mean, they haven't. That seems like a safe assumption, but this is an unusual year for the SEC. Maybe they pay more attention to that because this is a spot where it's close and you need tiebreakers. So maybe the conference dynamics force the committee's hand a little bit there. I just don't know.
No, I do. I think we've said all year the SEC tournament doesn't matter, but it matters if you're a team on the bubble. It's always mattered if you're a team on the bubble. Like, that's never not been the case, I think.
Didn't matter for A&M and Vandy in past years.
Well, but those teams were, in my opinion, not where these teams are. They're different seasons, different context of league strength and all that stuff. Like, I think this is a much different scenario for these teams now versus where Vandy and A&M were sitting in those years. Those years, I think you had a lot more reason to not like the resumes. Whereas this year, if you add in conference strength and metrics, you had a lot more reason to like these teams than you did those particular teams. Just my thoughts. I think the Vandy thing was a pipe dream that was completely imagination based. I don't think Vandy was ever. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the one that I keep thinking about was in 2022 when A&M got to the final and lost to Tennessee and went to the NIT as a 1 seed. They had won the last 4 regular season games and then won 3 in the tournament. So they had a 7-game winning streak heading into the title game. 9-9 regular season in the SEC. But was also 51, was also 42 in KenPom after or heading into the Tennessee game.
Well,
So that was a borderline computer number. You're right about that.
They lost 8 games in a row that year in SEC
Yeah.
play. I can't give any team the benefit of the doubt when they lost 8 in a row in league play. I just think that was what worked against them. Yeah, 9 of 10. Leading into that just wasn't enough. They put themselves so far behind that year, it wasn't enough. And again, if you also want to just base it on conference strength and KenPom conference ratings, let's just have fun with it. SEC plus 1446 that year. This year they're plus 2206. So I mean that's a huge gap.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, to me, the committee has to. They don't have a choice this year. In other years, you could justify maybe, all right, we're not valuing the conference tournaments for this or that. But this year, you don't have a choice because you have so many potential scenarios with this many SEC teams on the bubble. So
yeah. And one little footnote on Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt 2 years ago was 80 in KenPom exiting the SEC tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gut time.
Gut time. Also, by the way, I'll pull up a great comment here from Optimistic Rattlesnake. WWE is real. Anyone who doesn't believe so is a sissy trying to be a hard ass. I agree with Optimistic Rattlesnake. Everyone knows my love for the professional wrestling ranks around here. And so I agree. By the way, you can find my work out there now on a certain publication if you would like to search for that. All right. Are we ready for the gut bracket?
Born
I
ready.
agree, Sean. It's real. Okay. By the way, I'm going to bring this up before the gut bracket, okay? Malik is here. Can't
Get him,
believe
Malik.
I doubted the Gators.
Get 'em.
I agree with you, Malik. I completely agree with you. But I wanted to bring that up for a reason. And maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit. Quickly, though, before we get to that, we got a new member. Shout out to Justice here. Jumping in for the It Just Means More tier. Danny, $5 super chat. $5. We appreciate that, Danny. Bama now 1-5 against the other top 6 teams in the SEC, with 3 of those losses coming at home, with a good possibility of finishing 1-6. Overrated.
Ooh. Brett will tell you his thoughts.
We're gonna see.
Well, hey, look.
It's a gut bracket.
Also beat
It is a
Houston, beat Illinois when Illinois is playing really well. I mean, they did a lot out of conference, too.
Yeah, full body work. Okay. Quickly, though, we're going to get to this. Carter asks, what's the schedule for next week? The live streams, the prediction videos. Oh, my goodness. Carter, here's the thing. If my voice can just get back on track, if it can get in tournament mode by next Monday, well, no, not even next, probably before that. We've got so much stuff. I don't know. The amount of streams and videos we're going to do between Saturday, like starting this Saturday, we're going to we got to do our awards show. We've got to do predictions for the first games. We've got to do a full bracket prediction before the tournament starts, even though we do our individual predictions too. We always have the right to change that.
Yes.
We've got to do live reaction from the SEC tournament every single day. Multiple of those, most likely, if Max and I can get the internet figured out. We've got our Selection Sunday marathon stream, which will probably this year, that thing may go 4 hours. I don't even know. Trust me, we got so much stuff we're doing next week. Yeah. So, anyways. 24/7 live stream. Yeah. Let's see how my voice sounds if we go 24/7 on one of these. But Zach wants to know, how do you become a member? Oh, boy. Oh boy. Oh, boy, Zach.
I feel
Here's
like
what
a
I'm gonna
Nate
do for you,
Bargatze
Zach.
skit is imminent.
Nobody
knows.
Everybody acts like it's so simple, but I promise you, it's really not that simple, folks. It's really not as simple as people make it out to be. So here's what I'm going to do for Zach, okay? You can do it on the mobile, but I'm going to drop this link in here, and this will, whether you're on a mobile or not, that'll get you to the desktop version where it's much easier to just join that way. So, all right, Here, Zach said, give me a button. There you go, Zach. Hit that link right there. It'll get you somewhere you need to be. Okay, now here's the thing. Max, you have all these sources for these updated NCAA tournament brackets. I usually use a couple people, and their brackets aren't updated today. They would have been probably as of Tuesday or Wednesday. So we don't have, like, what would probably be the updated. Do you know anyone out there that's updated today or last night that we could use?
I have one from yesterday. That's because when you were doing the tournament, SEC tournament, I was looking for one, and I can only find ones that were updated yesterday. I can't find one today.
Somebody says CBS is updated.
Jerry Palm?
Is Jerry's updated? If so, we're going to use his because
Jerry.
There's a reason why I want it updated.
Yep, we've got a few comments.
I can think of multiple reasons you want it updated.
March 6th. All right.
There we go.
Jerry. There we go.
8:35 a.m. We are good.
Well, that's not as updated as I would like, but we'll still use it. Okay. Here we go. Jerry making an appearance here on the show. All right. And yeah, there's a reason why I wanted it updated because we need to.
Look, okay. Nice little headshot of him too.
That's nice. Okay. So we see here the first 4 matchups are interesting, I see. All right. We're going to start in the South. Now, hold on. This setup's got me a little. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. I like this.
All right. You like this? Okay. All right. We start in the South. Auburn versus whoever.
Auburn.
Yeah.
Auburn.
Give me the Tiger. Auburn. Illinois versus New Mexico.
Illinois.
Yep. Illinois.
All right.
Let me see. I can't really. I'm going to pull this up the other way. Sorry, I can't really read it on the screen. I want to pull up where these games were played. Missouri the 5 versus Liberty the 12.
Missouri.
Oh, Missouri. But that's maybe not the 12 you want.
I look at some of the other 12s, and I think that's a better matchup than the others. Missouri. Uh-oh. Iowa State versus High Point.
Iowa State.
Oh, Max has been a High Point guy.
I know. I have been a High Point guy. I have. I like Otts, though.
State.
I like Coach Otts.
Iowa State. Arizona VCU.
VCU.
VCU. Texas A&M Northern Colorado. Texas A&M may be the underdog here in Denver against Northern Colorado here.
All right, get out of here. A&M.
Altitude.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
They'll handle it. Won't matter. Northern Colorado does play. Yeah, they'll be used to it. But anyway.
Is Dalton Connections suiting up?
Make sure you set that line, Vegas. Texas A&M. Kansas and Georgia. Oh, my.
Give me the Dogs. Give me the Dogs. Chris is thinking too much.
Give me Georgia.
Is there a way I can zoom in on this? Like, is there like a way to zoom? This bracket's kind of throwing me off a little bit.
We got to work with what we got.
Yeah, give me Georgia too. Wisconsin versus who is that? Central Connecticut. Yeah.
Central Connecticut. Give me Wisconsin.
Okay, I'm about to say. Hold on a second.
Wisconsin.
Chris?
Let's say, Chris, you thinking about this one?
Sorry, I was looking down to the next one. I'd already made my mind on Wisconsin. But anyway.
Okay, yeah. Stop. No. Stop looking at the other brackets. It's a gut bracket. We're going fast here. All right.
No,
Auburn versus Illinois. Regions. Don't look at the other regions yet.
Auburn.
Missouri versus Iowa State.
Oh, man. Iowa State.
Oh. Missouri.
Nice.
VCU versus Texas A&M.
That's like the VCU is like a mid-major A&M, but they shoot it a little bit. They shoot it a little bit better. They got Max Shulga. Don't they have the old Utah State head coach still? Ryan Odom. Pretty sure VCU is. Yeah, VCU. Yeah. But he's getting buzzed. Give me A&M.
A&M. Georgia, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Dogs.
Wisconsin. All right. We got Auburn versus Missouri or Auburn versus Iowa State.
Auburn.
Auburn.
Auburn. We've got Texas A&M versus Wisconsin or Georgia. What? Max. Now I see what Max is cooking up. It had nothing to do with anything other than putting Texas A&M in a position where it had the best chance to advance to the Elite Eight and or Final Four. All right. Who you got, Chris?
Got me.
Wisconsin.
All right. So we got Auburn versus Texas A&M for Max. Auburn versus Wisconsin for me and Chris.
Auburn.
Tigers.
Auburn. All right. We go to the East here on the right side of the brackets. We've got Duke versus the number 16 seed.
Duke.
Creighton versus Utah State.
Creighton. Wow, no UConn for the Dukies.
Creighton.
Ole Miss versus McNeese.
Ooh.
Let me tell you why I think that game's interesting.
Yeah,
really
I could think
about it, and I'll tell you why.
Big
really
reason.
think about it, and I'll tell you why I think that game's interesting.
I don't think you have to really think about it.
Ole Miss.
McNeese.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ole Miss, but it's not easy. Oregon versus Lipscomb.
Oregon.
Bisons. Come on.
Oh, come on.
Nice.
Oregon. Mississippi State versus I'm going to assume it's East. Ohio State or Boise State. Oh.
I'll go Ohio State. Goes on a little run.
Okay.
Jans.
Yeah, fade the Mountain West. I'm going to go Mississippi State. St. John's versus Towson.
Johnny's.
St. John's. BYU versus Indiana.
Ooh.
BYU.
Mormons.
BYU. Alabama versus Norfolk State.
Alabama.
Oh no. Hide your eyes, Missouri fans. 215.
Norfolk.
Oh, yikes.
Norfolk.
Tied. Come on.
Alabama. All right. Duke versus Creighton.
That would be a tester. Give me Duke.
Duke. We've got. I don't even know what we got here. I think we've all got different ones, don't we?
Yeah, we got totally different things.
I'm
All
gonna
right, so
go
pick your winner.
Oregon.
You got Oregon over who, Max?
McNeese.
Ole Miss.
Okay. Wait a minute,
I got
Chris.
McNeese
You got
winning, too.
McNeese over Lipscomb.
Yep.
Okay.
Nice.
I got Oregon over Ole Miss.
St. John's
Mississippi
against
State, St. John's.
St. John's.
Or Ohio State. Yeah.
Patino.
St. John's. Alabama versus BYU.
That would be a good game.
I don't.
That would be a good game.
But I'm just being honest.
I'll go Alabama though. That'd be a good game.
BYU's on a roll.
They are.
Yeah. Are you waiting on me?
Thinking.
Yeah.
I already said Alabama.
Oh, well, I didn't hear you. You got to repeat your
I
response.
said Nate Oates. Sorry.
Well, he's not playing in this game. That would be a technical foul. I'm going to go Alabama.
Okay.
All right. Duke versus Oregon or McNeese?
Ooh, Duke.
I do not like this spot if Duke's playing Oregon. I'm going to be perfectly clear.
Dana.
I think Oregon, something about Oregon. Dana Altman, I think he could work some magic here. But
They played well against good teams.
it's a gut bracket, so I'll pick Duke. Alabama versus St. John's. Oh, my.
St. John's.
Bama.
Alabama. Duke versus St. John's or Duke versus Alabama?
St. John's. Give me the Johnnies.
I'm sorry. Give me Duke to make the Final Four.
Duke. All right. We're going to move a little quicker here at the bottom. All right. West. Florida versus Omaha.
Florida.
St. Mary's,
Florida.
UConn. I just assumed Chris is picking Florida.
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. Boy, that's a good one. My goodness.
That
UConn.
is a good one.
Marquette versus Drake.
Drake.
No, I'm gonna change my pick to UConn. Sorry.
Oh.
Drake.
Cut bracket. You only get one change per
Yep.
region.
I've used
This
my
one will-
mulligan.
I'm gonna go Drake too. Michigan versus Yale. Uh-oh.
The Danny Wolf revenge game. Wow. They know what
Oh,
Jerry knows
yeah.
what he's doing there. Jerry knows what he's doing. Give me Yale.
Michigan.
Clemson versus Arkansas.
Clemson.
Clemson.
Give me the Hogs. Texas Tech versus Utah Valley.
Tech.
Tech.
Louisville versus Baylor.
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 Louisville. Michigan State versus Robert Morris.
they keep matching up Bob against Sparty. Not feeling it today though. Michigan State.
Izzo.
Michigan State. Florida versus St. Mary's or UConn.
That ain't easy, but Florida.
Florida.
I have no idea. Take your winner here.
Yale.
Michigan.
Clemson or Arkansas versus Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Tech.
Texas Tech. Louisville or Baylor versus Michigan State.
Baylor.
Sparty.
Michigan State. Florida versus Yale or Michigan.
Florida.
Gators.
The Dusty May revenge game. Florida. Texas Tech versus Michigan State or Baylor, I think.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech.
Michigan
I like
State.
Tech this year.
Florida versus Texas Tech or Florida versus Michigan State.
Gators.
I'm gonna go Tech.
Florida. All right, to the Midwest. Houston versus Bryant.
Houston.
Houston.
Vanderbilt is an 8 versus the Zags is the 9.
Of course they get the Zags.
Zags.
Just to be a rebel, because I know the whole entire world and everyone on Mars and the whole universe will pick the Zags. Give me Vanderbilt.
Is Mark Byington the new Mark Few? People are asking. Give me the Commodores.
Ooh.
Maryland versus UC San Diego.
Oh my gosh, I like Maryland too, but I can't pick against the Tritons.
Come on.
San Diego.
Titans.
San Diego. Kentucky versus Akron.
Kentucky.
Cats.
Kentucky. Memphis versus Oklahoma or San Diego State.
Ooh. I'll go Memphis.
Sooners.
Nice.
I'm going to go Memphis. Purdue versus Chattanooga.
Go Chattanooga. Spice it up.
Purdue.
UCLA, West Virginia.
UCLA. Oh wait, that's in
Bruins.
Lexington? Nope. West Virginia.
Oh, yeah. It's a long way to go.
Who'd you pick, Chris?
UCLA.
I'm going to go West Virginia. Tennessee, South Alabama.
Tennessee.
Balls.
All right. Now we got to Houston versus Vanderbilt or the Zags.
Houston.
Houston. San Diego versus
Okay.
Kentucky. Here we go.
Cats.
Doesn't San Diego shoot even more threes than Kentucky? I'm pretty sure they have a higher 3-point rate than Kentucky.
Here, let me give it to you.
That might be the best game ever.
Yeah, I think they do shoot more. They shoot, yeah.
They do shoot more? Okay, give me the Tritons.
Kentucky.
Okay.
Purdue versus Memphis or Oklahoma.
Memphis.
Purdue.
Tennessee versus West Virginia or UCLA.
Tennessee.
Vols.
Tennessee. Houston versus is it San Diego or Kentucky?
Houston.
Houston.
Tennessee versus I don't even know who. Purdue, Memphis, I think.
Purdue.
I'm gonna go
I'm sorry,
Memphis.
Tennessee.
I'm going to go Memphis.
Oh, are we in the 8 now?
Yep.
I'll take Tennessee to the 8.
Oh man, I'm gonna go Purdue. Purdue and Tennessee is like the ultimate.
Oh no.
Tennessee having to face Purdue is just like the ultimate. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't like it, but I'm gonna go Purdue. It is in the Midwest too. I think as Sam notes out, is that Indianapolis or is that? Yeah. Ugh. Houston versus whoever. Where are we at? I don't even know where we're at.
I've got Houston versus Memphis. Going to Houston.
Okay. Chris, who have you got?
Houston. All 1 seeds. Oh, I hate this.
I did that last time. Made sure I didn't do it again.
It sucks.
It does.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Houston. All right. So do we all have all 1 seeds?
No.
God, just shoot us and end this thing.
Oh,
Did you do all 1
that's
seeds,
awful.
Blake?
I honestly thought about going Purdue there. And it's not because I love it. I'm trying to be different, but I've kind of put myself in a position now where I'm like,
Who's your final four, Blake?
all ones. Auburn, Florida, Houston, Duke.
This is pitiful.
It's a gut bracket. All right, Max, your final four.
Auburn, St. John's, Texas Tech, Houston.
Yeah, I don't know where you're at. You got Auburn versus Texas Tech.
Auburn.
Houston versus St. John's.
And then Houston.
Champion?
Houston.
All right. Chris?
Gators to beat Auburn.
Ooh.
Houston to beat Duke. Wow. Gators your national champion.
Gators! All right.
Chris is learning. Florida over Auburn, Duke over Houston, Florida over Duke. There you have it.
2 different Gators? Okay.
I'm gonna make a statement right here, and I texted it to Max last night. The way teams are at the moment, I think there's only one team that can beat Duke from the SEC, and I think it's Florida.
I think he's right.
Why not Auburn?
Well, I mean, for starters, I've seen them play before, but I just think Florida's playing better than Auburn right now.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't disagree with that. I've just the game was in Cameron. It was close. I'm just poking around here.
Listen, same argument I made to someone the other day who said, "Why are you putting Auburn as the top overall seed versus Duke when they've already played? And if the gap's not that far," I said, "Well, the gap's that far." I said, Auburn's resume gap is that far from Duke's, in my opinion. But I think Florida matches up better.
Are we concerned that Broom hasn't been as effective, or is this just a thing that can happen over a couple of games? Serious question.
Slightly. He's definitely not 100%.
I think we're going to learn a lot in Nashville being 10 feet from the playing floor. I really do. There are going to be some things I'm watching really closely, and that's going to be one of them.
Yeah.
Let me update my statement here, okay? I think Florida is the only team that can beat Duke the way that Duke is playing right now. That's maybe a better way to put it. Now, could that change? Perhaps, but I think the way. Listen, you guys know I've been all over the ACC this year, but I watch Duke play right now, and I'm like they're at another level right now. They've been tremendous, and I know the competition. Look, they're not playing the best teams, but I mean, come on, guys, they're my goodness, they just been crushing teams.
All right,
so
this is the part where I say something out loud, not because I necessarily believe it, but just to get us thinking through it and talk through it. Duke has got a 7-game winning streak. Now, look, I think these things can be both true. You can be elite and you can have not played anybody. But to me, it's always kind of hard to know. Now, I think Duke's elite, but so we're probably nitpicking already. But here's what I'm getting at. The last 7 games since Duke lost at Clemson, there's been one team that I think is heading to the NCAA tournament, and that's Illinois, which I do not think was playing at full strength that Duke has played. Now, maybe Wake Forest had it gone into Durham and won that one would be there too, but Duke took care of that. And maybe that's proof that it's a dumb question. But I'm just saying, you go back and look, and goodness gracious, the last time other than Clemson and Illinois that Duke played a team that I think is heading to the NCAA tournament, if North Carolina does not make it, if SMU does not make it, would have been December the 8th against Louisville. Again, I think Duke is elite. I watched them. I know what Cooper flag is. They got a lot of parts. They may wipe the floor with everybody. I'm just saying it's hard to be certain of exactly how elite you are when – I think we all know Florida's elite for sure, right? Based on what Florida's done against elite teams. I'm just saying it is apples and oranges. What's that? Well, what I'm saying is we learned.
I think you're over.
Florida was.
I think you're overblowing this, Chris.
Well, I think I am. I think I am too because I've seen them play. I'm just saying. I do wonder how much not really being tested factors in or doesn't, and maybe it doesn't.
I just think if you watch Duke play, and they're one of the best teams in the country, and I don't care who they're playing. But, and I'm the anti-ACC guy, it seems like this year. But
I've narrowed down my national title favorites to Auburn, Duke, Florida, Houston. Probably
I think those are the 4 I would put.
One of those 4.
Yeah.
And the way I look at it right now is Duke is starting 4 freshmen now with Evans in the lineup, and they don't have Malik Brown, their kind of big utility man that plays behind Malawash. Auburn, got to get Denver healthy, got to get Broom healthy. I'll probably make more of a decision on what I'm going to do with Auburn after the SEC tournament, like we just said. And then Florida, obviously, right there. I just didn't want all the number 1 seeds again, so I made a gut pick to take Tech on an upset. But those 4, and then Houston, fully healthy right now, can shoot the 3 ball, but they play that really slow pace, and that's always a real risk going into a tournament setting. When you play a slow pace like that, you're bound to catch a game that's close, just almost bound to happen. So yeah, those 4 are what I'm kind of. It's those 4 for me.
Well, just quickly to respond to Nick here, he says you guys are going to be surprised when Duke loses in the second round. Well, here's the thing: they could. Any of the elite teams could lose in the second round with the wrong matchup. Like, I don't care who you are. You could be any of it. You could be Auburn. You could be Florida. You could be any of these teams. Like, you get the wrong matchup in the second round, you could absolutely lose. And so that's kind of our point, is that there's no guarantee that Duke plays Florida or Auburn. They may get beat by somebody else before they get there. But I think if we're looking at it from that standpoint, to me, I think it's a very interesting argument when you look at these teams and matching up and all that. But all depends on who gets in your bracket. That's why we make the gut bracket picks right now based on who's there. But once the real thing gets there, our opinions could completely change if we're like, uh-oh, that's bad for Duke. That's bad for this team or that team, whoever. So there you have it. All right, we got to get out of here.
Oh, I was just going to say, think about the Duke team that almost should have lost to UCF. And the Aubrey Dawkins game. Anyone can lose against anyone. It's March.
All right. Optimistic Rattlesnake, $5. Do you think the Gators win the SEC championship? That could be in the South bracket instead of the West. I just don't think it. I don't think so. Could. I mean, I guess, yeah. Maybe. But again, what is the committee going to value that?
They're not knocking Auburn out of the South, are they?
Oh, wait. Yeah, no. Because Duke's going to be in the East. Auburn's going to be in the South, right? Because it's the Midwest and West. Yeah. I think it's going to be, I think it'd be hard.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're knocking those two out of those spots. Yeah. Didn't think about that. All right. Quickly. Zach's now a member. Kendall's now a member. We appreciate you guys jumping in. And, yeah. All right. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, I got baseball to do as soon as we get it set up. So we'll be talking SEC baseball games ahead this weekend, all kinds of stuff. Whatever you ask us, we'll hit that too. Stay tuned for that in just a second as soon as we can get it set up and going. For Max Barr, Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. You've been watching basketball content here at Southeastern 16.